Is an African safari on your bucket list? How about an African safari that includes a river cruise? Stay tuned. My special guest today is Todd D Ney, Product Manager for Egypt and Africa with AmaWaterways. Hi, Todd. Welcome back to RTE Travel Talk.
Hey, Ken, it's great to be back again. I really enjoy having my conversations with you.
Super. It's great to have you back. Todd, so the last time we spoke, you mentioned that part of your role as quality assurance for AmaWaterways included Africa and the safari and wildlife. Now, an African safari happens to be on our bucket list, as well as probably thousands of our viewers. So we're kind of doing a video series this month on African vacations, and I knew that I had to just touch base with you to talk to you about the unique product that AmaWaterways has to offer. So perhaps we can kind of start with a 30,000 foot level idea of what it is and go from there.
Sure. So we basically do all top lists that people want to see in Southern Africa.
Okay.
Cape Town, Kruger, Victoria Falls, Tanzania. But we combine that all with a 4-night river cruise on the Zambezi Queen on the Chobe River. The Chobe River forms the border between Namibia and Botswana.
Okay.
So we spend 4 nights on this ship. It's all suites. It's all on the waterway guests. All the rooms have balconies, but we do morning and afternoon safaris by boat. So we're exploring, say, 40 square kilometers of the Chobe River and its little channels and tributaries. And it's an experience where it's different than a land safari because you're on a river. You're at all the animals that are on the river, and you can get up so close to these animals because you're on a boat. Elephants come down. There are more elephants in this part of the world than anywhere.
Okay.
Hippos, crocodiles, all kinds of things on the river.
That's really interesting. And because it's on the river, I would expect then you probably stand a better chance of interacting with the animals because they have to come for water.
Correct. There are watering
Yeah.
holes inland and stuff like that, but during the dry season, which is March through November, all the watering holes dry
Right.
up. So all the animals have to come down to the river for water.
Oh, great. I see you have several itineraries varying in length. I think the shortest one is 9, and perhaps the longest one's about 16 nights. What is the difference between those, Todd?
So basically, we have the 9-day itinerary, which includes the classic Cape Town 3 nights cruise, 4 nights, and 2 nights Victoria Falls. Not too many people purchase that option. It's there, and from those that's the core of the
Right.
product. After that, you choose. You can go to Kruger National Park and do a land safari from one particular lodge. You can go up to Tanzania and do a 7-night safari, stay in 4 different lodges. You go to the Serengeti. You could take a 3 or 4 night Rovis rail journey, the classic train,
Wow.
5-star train
Right.
from Victoria Falls down to Johannesburg, or you can just end in Johannesburg, visit Soweto, and then fly home. So you have the core itinerary, and then you have the option of choosing different things after the Cape Town, Vic Falls, and the cruise.
Right. So the core itinerary includes the 4 nights on the river.
Correct.
And then what, 3 nights in Cape Town?
3 nights in Cape. Well, it starts with 3 nights in Cape
Okay.
Town, then 4 nights on the river, and then 2 nights in Victoria Falls.
Okay.
And from the ship to Victoria Falls is about 90 miles, and we do the transfer by land.
Okay. So if you're on the core itinerary, then is there game drives involved with that on the core itinerary, or the drive just basically the river drives?
When we're on the Chobe River, yes, we do morning and afternoon safaris by boat, but we do spend one day where we do a game drive into the heart of Chobe National
Okay.
Park to see animals that haven't come down to the river.
Okay. So how long has AmaWaterways been in Africa, Todd?
We started, I guess, in 2012. I joined the company back in 2015, and it's a relatively small program at one time, but it's grown to where we have departures almost every week between March and November. It's pretty popular.
Okay. And that actually leads me to the question, when is the season? So the season's March through September?
The season is March through November. That is the dry season, but a couple of caveats. Because it's the dry season, you don't have as much water coming over Victoria Falls for part of the year.
Right.
It is winter down there, so it's cooler in Cape Town and Johannesburg. And the rainy season pretty much is up in Angola in the mountains, and it ends in March. And then the river comes down from the Zambezi River and Chobe River come down from Angola. slowly but surely, it gets smaller and smaller, and the animals come down for water.
So if we were thinking about it, Todd, when is the ideal time of year to
If
take it?
if it were
Yeah,
me, May or June.
May or June.
Yeah, exactly.
So the Zambezi Queen. Tell me a little bit about the ship.
So actually, the Zambesi Queen was just refurbished
Okay.
for this year. So we have brand new staterooms, all new furniture, bedding, so on like that. Ship was just the lobby, everything has been refurbished. The crew, Namibian, they come from little villages out in the land. There's 14 suites. All come with a balcony. There's a plunge pool bar on the Zambezi Queen. It's an open bar, and everything is included once you're on the ship. There's no optional trips or anything like that. The food, pretty amazing. It's by a chef that comes from one of the villages. I always describe it as 5-star home cooked food. It's the best I can do. And it's continental as well as local cuisine. It's kind of cool. I should also mention while we're on the ship, we do visit a couple of local villages along the way and interact with the villagers. It's kind of cool.
Very, very, very interesting. So what's included with the trip, Todd?
So when we're on this whole trip and stuff, pretty much everything's included. Gratuities to the local guide, most of your meals, I would say 95% of the meals. A couple of dinners aren't included during the journey through South Africa, but I should say pretty much everything's included, but what's not included is just the gratuities for the crew on the ship and the cruise manager, tour director that you have along the way. Pretty much otherwise, we include everything. I mean, in Cape Town, we go down to the Cape of Good Hope. You have a choice of Robben Island or, the Winelands. In Victoria Falls, we do a steam train journey and have dinner on the train. And we do a talk on a small boat. One of the coolest trips that we have is into Soweto, where we meet Tulani, who started this youth center school in
Okay.
Soweto. An amazing experience. It humbled me when I went there, and we're the only people that go there to visit his school that he kind of started up as a young kid.
Oh,
So
fantastic.
when we're on this trip in South Africa, yes, a lot of it has to do with the animals, but it also has to do with the culture and the people as well as the food.
Wow. Wow. So, Todd, one thing that I know that's important when it comes to this type of an adventure is actually the accommodations. Tell me a little bit about the hotels and lodges that we're going to be staying in with AmaWaterways.
Sure, it's these hotels are some of the best in the world. In Cape Town, for years we've used the Cape Grace, always listed in the top 100 hotels in the world. It's actually closing for about 6 or 7 months
Okay.
this summer for refurbishment. So in the meantime, we're using the Mount Nelson Hotel by Belmont, and Belmont definitely has a great name. Victoria Falls, we use the Victoria Falls Hotel, classic old 5-star hotel built back in 1929 by
Wow.
the railway.
Wow.
And we stay in stable wing rooms. These are 3 rooms upgraded. They're called the stable wing. Maybe the horses slept there at one time. I don't know, but they're beautiful rooms. Johannesburg, Fairlawns Boutique Hotel, beautiful small hotel in a park-like setting. This is where Nelson Mandela stayed and Jimmy Carter and stuff. So it's got a lot of
Wow.
history here.
Wow.
And then when we go to Kruger and stay in a 5-star small lodge with only 6 suites called Tinswalo. If you head up to Tinswalo or up into Tanzania, the lodges we use are owned by Alawana, very, very small, 10 to 15 suites. These lodges are these are the places where back in the day, 30s and the 40s, were the lifestyle of the rich and famous, the movie stars and stuff. When they went on safari, these are the type of lodges they would stay in, sleeping up in the
Right.
trees, and sleeping in these 5-star tents.
So it's like stepping back in time.
It
Yeah.
really is. And I can tell you one thing on this trip, Ken, is that when people come back, and I see this often,
Right.
the trip changed me.
Really.
Yeah, it does. It does get into your heart,
Wow.
this trip. It's once in a lifetime.
So who is this vacation best suited for, Todd? What kind of demographics would we find on board? And is it something that, we would take kids along on?
Families do come along. In fact, I've got a family leaving, and they took the whole ship. Grandpa bought it for the whole
Wow.
family, and they're doing the trip, and they're doing the cruise in Victoria Falls and going over to Kruger National Park. But for the most part, I would say 90% of the guests tend to be more retired
Right.
or close to retirement. They tend to be more wealthy, upscale. It is an expensive
Yeah.
program because it is definitely a 5-star program throughout. And when they take this trip, they look at it as sort of a once in a lifetime, and they probably will never return. And that's why they pretty much, majority of the people do Cape Town and the cruise of Victoria Falls, Johannesburg, and go to Kruger National Park.
Exactly.
It,
So
yeah.
it's kind of like your Egypt project as well. It's you're thinking most people it's kind of a one and done, so you're going to give them as much as you possibly can.
I have to admit, yeah, these are once in a lifetime trips that I'm responsible
Yeah,
for. So I kind of feel pretty, it's not mainstream. It's really out of the ordinary. And these are trips that when you go home, they're with you for the rest of your life.
exactly, exactly. So if we were to consider something like this, now I know I've done a little bit of research on some other safaris. Is there any special packing tips that you would have for people that are coming along?
In this part of the world, you never wear bright clothing,
Mm-hmm.
tend to be dull. I mean, you can obviously bring a wide brim hat, sunscreen. We have binoculars on board the boat that you can share and use.
Right,
Same with safaris in the land. One thing I do mention is that in this part of the world there is malaria,
right,
and so I it's not mandatory, but always recommend malaria medication up on the Chobe River and so on. And they have new medications out there now. They don't have those weird side effects from years ago and stuff like
right.
that. The trip is casual unless you take the Rufus Rail, and there you got to dress up for dinner. Otherwise, shirts, shorts, t-shirts, jeans, stuff
Right,
like that. It's relatively casual. Long sleeves for the safari drives on land because of the
right.
bugs.
And traveling, you'd probably recommend that you would travel light if you can.
Actually, yeah, you do. The way it works in this part of the world, like the maximum luggage size is 44 pounds. You go over that, you're going to be charged. So you travel with 44 pounds or
Right.
less. It's okay. You can do laundry on board. There's Zambezi Queen, and actually they take it to a local village and they do the laundry. They're not doing it with slamming it on rocks and stuff like
Yeah,
that, but it helps the local
yeah.
economy and it's relatively inexpensive. And those that go to the lodges in Kruger or Tanzania, laundry is always complimentary. So pack light and be okay with doing laundry along the way.
Any special visas or vaccinations other than malaria that we might need, Todd?
There's no mandatory
Mm.
vaccination. Visas, you do need visas to get into Zimbabwe, but we get that at the border as a group. So it's very simple. You just line up, hand them your $50, and away you go.
Okay.
And then in Tanzania, those that go to Tanzania, you do need a visa. You get it on arrival. You can do it online, but most guests do it on arrival. And I should also mention we do have an extension to Rwanda to see the gorillas. And if you do that, you do need a visa for Rwanda.
Okay. So do you recommend getting those visas en route or before you get there?
For me, I would just get them on arrival. They're very quick. So, in fact, you don't have a choice for Zimbabwe.
Okay.
Tanzania, you do have a choice, but I would say 90% of our guests do get it on arrival. It's very quick.
Okay.
Same with Rwanda.
Now, I would expect the same as your Egypt product. Once you arrive in country, there's somebody there at the airport to meet you, and it's kind of a seamless experience to get started on the trip.
Correct. With in this part of the world, as long as you arrive on day one or purchase extra nights through us, we'll be at the airport to meet
Yeah.
you. You're handheld as soon as you get off that plane. You're transferred to the hotel. You don't need to purchase your international air through us or anything. Buy your own air. Do it. But as soon as you land, you are taken care of the whole way through. It's very, very seamless, very, very relaxing, and let us take care of all the issues and stuff like that. So the way I say it is, you're handheld the whole way.
Perfect, perfect. Well, Todd, this is absolutely great information. Is there any final thoughts for our viewers and listeners that might be considering this adventure of a lifetime?
This is a popular program. It's kind of like a once in a lifetime, like we spoke about before. So if you are thinking about it, do it sooner rather than later. And departures, because you only hold 28
Right.
guests, so they do sell out pretty quickly. Normally, like there's several dates and next year are already full. Yeah, this is a trip where it's very difficult to do at the last minute. So try to plan far in advance and see some of the top 10 sites listed on the top 10 lists of the world. There's some pretty amazing things.
Perfect, perfect. Well, it certainly sounds like something I want to tick off my bucket list at some point. So wonderful.
You're invited.
Hey, I understand that AmaWaterways has just recently launched another bucket list destination that the magic of Colombia, 7 nights on the Magdalena River. I would in
Correct.
South America. Love to have you or one of your team back at some point to regale us with all the adventures on the Columbia River. How does that sound?
That sounds actually really cool. We got Benno down there in Colombia, and we'll bring him on and tell you about the two ships we're building. What's the program like on the Magdalena River? and some of the extensions that you can do before and after.
Sounds great. So, with that,
Cool.
Todd, I'm just going to wish you safe and happy cruising and adventures in all your future travels. May the wind always be at your back, and I hope to see you on the Zambezi Queen sometime in the future.
Thank you, Ken. Take
Take
care.
care. And that about wraps it up for today, folks. A very special thanks to my guest, Todd Ney of AmaWaterways. If you'd like more information about an AmaWaterways African safari and river cruise, you can visit our website, realtravelexperts.com, to find a travel expert near you. Send a question to questions@realtravelexperts.com or visit our website, realtravelexperts.com. And as always, folks, if you enjoyed this content, a like, subscribe, and a ring of the bell is certainly appreciated and helps us to spread the word. So until next time, happy travels.